Alright, we are in. So you'll notice my clock is a little low. I just had to mess with some of the settings. But we have a great hand. This is exactly what I'm looking for with Jund. It's just to have a reasonable curve with a mix of creatures and threats, and threats and answers. And here we've got Dark Confidant, good old Dark Bob, such a stud. And we get to go 1-drop, Dark Confidant, and then 3-drop in the form of removal spell. So pretty ideal. The one thing that's a little annoying is we have to think about our mana a little bit. If we're going to play Blood Crypt on turn 1, untapped, it's a little annoying because then we're going to be playing Lightning Bolt, and then for Verdant Catacombs, we really want to get Overgrown Tomb, so we can cast our Maelstrom Pulse, but also cast a top deck Liliana the Veil. And at that point, we're taking like a lot of damage off of our mana, which is certainly scary with Dark Confidant. But I have to imagine our opponent's just going to take our Dark Confidant here. So, yeah. So we might be up against another Jund deck, which would be fairly interesting. I am definitely going to play... Well, am I definitely going to play? I guess I'm definitely not going to play. I think I'm just going to play the Overgrown Tomb here. And because we have this Blackcleave Cliffs, our options for what to get with our land are opened up a little bit. If we wanted to get Stomping Ground, it wouldn't be out of the question. We'll probably still get Overgrown Tomb, but we'll see what happens. Opponent has a Dark Confidant. So a lot of the times I like to just crack it now and kill it. But considering we have so little going on, I think that I'm just going to let it live and I'm going to kill it on my turn. Ugh, well, that was annoying. We'll take the opportunity to bolt this. Letting him untap with Dark Confidant is much worse than playing our own. It's just so likely that he kills ours. So one nice thing about this is at least he doesn't have Olivia Voldaren mana. So that's kind of sweet. Might as well bluff the potential for a top deck Lightning Bolt. So this is a situation where it'd be really nice to have a creature land. If you played Liliana here and minused, it would be just complete and utter bad news bears for us. We're gonna follow the same play pattern. Just always kill Dark Confidant. It's basically the best card in these mid-range matchups. So we would like to get another green source for this Scavenging Ooze, but if he plays Liliana and makes us discard, we definitely want to discard a land, and I'd much rather discard a fetch land rather than a actual land. This guy's playing a deck that's truly after my own heart. So let's see, what do we want to do here? I think we definitely want to play 2 spells this turn. I think we already have enough black and red mana, so getting a basic forest with this Wooded Foothills is pretty reasonable. And we are going to play the Tarmogoyf first, rather than the Scavenging Ooze. It wouldn't be crazy to just, like if we had a third green source, to play both of our threats, but considering the fact that he can just pass, flip his Huntmaster, and kill our Scavenging Ooze, playing it's just a bad idea. Tarmogoyf is great. Our opponent has 1 card, so obviously he gets to draw another one, but if the Tarmogoyf gets to live, it'll be pretty sweet. Opponent has hit a lot of land drops. It's entirely possible that he just has another land in hand. And this Tarmogoyf can really reign supreme. The fact that he was able to cast a creature and get some value out of it, though, is something that cannot be ignored. This 2/2 Wolf is a relevant resource in this matchup. It can absorb a Liliana Edict. It can trade with a Dark Confidant. And generally speaking, the creatures in this matchup don't live for long. So having one incidental random body can really amount to something. Because very frequently the board is just kept pretty clean. So I have a few options here. I wonder if there's any way that I can engineer attacking and a lot of times you can just tack your Tarmogoyf into theirs, and when they block, you just bolt their Goyf. But this wolf being here is quite the problem. I could attack with my Goyf, and then if he double blocks, I could bolt the wolf, and then use the Scavenging Ooze to eat something in the graveyard, but then I'd wipe both our Tarmogoyfs, and I don't really want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play my Scavenging Ooze. Once I go. If he wants to do something with Raging Ravine, I can take away that opportunity with the Ghost Quarter. And once this Scavenging Ooze, if I get to untap with it and start eating things, it's going to be great. One thing that can be a little tricky with Scavenging Ooze is if your opponent has Kolaghan's Command. And usually these Jund decks will run, some number. But it can be really annoying when you go to exile something and they get it back with Kolaghan's Command. Wow, this Overgrown Tomb is actually a great top deck. It's not really that great of a top deck, don't get me wrong. But being able to grab my Stomping Ground and eat more things is pretty sweet. So my opponent has 2 Dark Confidants. I have 2 Dark Confidants in my graveyard. So I can't actually... I guess I can actually attack, because I can make my Scavenging Ooze into a 5/5. It would mean that I would be casting a Lightning Bolt on this wolf, but it puts me in just such a superior board position. That would make his Huntmaster the full 2-for-1. And this Coast Order gives me a lot of security against a, crackback. So now what I want to do with my Scavenging Ooze is a little interesting. On the one hand, eating one of my Dark Confidants is free, but I don't think I want to eat my second Dark Confidant just because I would like to get it back with Kolaghan's Command if I can. It'll shrink my Tarmogoyf and his Tarmogoyf. I will continue to eat things out of his graveyard, though. Tassiger is a card that a lot of people like in this matchup. So. Alright, so what do I want to do here? Tarmogoyfs are still 4/5s. There's 1 instant and 3 sorceries. So I can make the Tarmogoyfs into 3/4s fairly easily. And I guess I could actually make them into 2/3s fairly easily also. So I think I can attack with my Scavenging Ooze, because I can make it a 6/6, make his Tarmogoyfs 2/3s, and solve this Lightning Bolt in case he activates Raging Ravine. So we're going to start pushing. This is the beatdown part of the program. Came for beatdowns with the Boz for this week. It's going to be a bit of a slower beatdown session, but nice. I like this. This is good for me. Probably. Actually, I guess there's reason not to. And I'm just keeping this fetch land in my hand in case he or I draw a Liliana. You never want a lightning bolt before combat damage, because that can go poorly. Wow, another. Jeez. Despite being a quote-unquote a little behind on the race. Don't think he can really realistically race what I'm doing, because I've got the lifelink. Scavenging Ooze is just too strong in these situations. So now there's 2 instants and 2 sorceries and 1 creature in the graveyard. I really don't want to eat my Dark Confidant, because with Kolaghan's command it would just be so good. But I think I will start eating my sorceries and instants, just because if I can shrink the Tarmogoyfs, that will actually be to my benefit. Oh yeah! Dark Bob comes to save the day. Okay, so now this time, if I can make my Ooze an 8/8 and make the Goyfs 2/3s. So yeah, this is a fine attack. The Scavenging Ooze is just so big now. Too big. I'm a little worried about my clock. If I'm going to win this, it's probably going to have to be 2-0. I'm probably just going to run the Trump block. I would definitely just rather take the damage. If he doesn't block with all 3, I feel like... Yeah, I mean, this is just throwing away resources. This Dark Confidant's going to be a house. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So my opponent can't actually play Tassiger and draw a card. So I'm not gonna go out of my way to eat a bunch of stuff out of his graveyard. Because if he attacks with both Tarmogoyfs, I will just shrink them. And this is a little excessive. Probably don't need to do this, but you know, being thorough is pretty sweet. And at this stage, you know, gaining the life is just nice. Getting my Scavenging Ooze to 8/8 is great. Shrinking the Tarmogoyfs a little bit is not a completely worthwhile, but a reasonable endeavor. And and 6, 7. And I might be able to find myself in a situation where I can just even make these Tarmogoyf 0/1s and just attack with my Dark Confidant. I have to imagine at this point my opponent's just drawing dead. Let's get rid of that right now. My opponent's got to have like a damnation or something. The blocking that he did, protecting his life total, just wasn't particularly relevant. It was super dead. Like in a matchup like this, there's just always going to be times that you're behind, and you just sort of have to build your deck in a way so that you have good ways to catch up by having cheap spells or, you know, cards like Huntmaster the Fels that help you bounce back. Okay, so for sideboarding, I generally take away all of the discard. The only time I don't, or the only time I toy with the idea of not taking out all of the discard is when they have ridiculous cards like Thragtusk or like Wormcoil Engine or Grave Titan or something else that's like silly like that. And then I'll consider keeping in some of my Thoughtseizes just because those cards are so hard to deal with when they resolve, and they tend to sit in my opponent's hand for a while. The cards, so I like taking out all the discard, and I like bringing in cards that impact the board, particularly cards that are removal. Grim Lavamancer has a lot of utility in this matchup. You can pair it to make it so your Tarmogoyf beats your opponent's Tarmogoyf in combat. It can take down Scavenging Oozes, Dark Confidants, Huntmasters, Pia and Kiran's, just like pretty good card. I also like bringing in Kolaghan's Command. It does a lot of the same things that Grim Lavamancer does. I don't think I really want to bring in the Kalitas for this matchup. I think there are people who just like bringing in all of the fat stuff. Although actually, with the way my deck's set up, probably actually do want to just bring in the Kalitas. But Kalitas is certainly not something that I have for this matchup. Kitchen Finks, just like reasonable, 2-for-1 if the board is kept relatively clean. And in the face of Liliana, Kitchen Finks is really good. And I think for the most part, that's about it. I really don't like Kitchen Finks in this matchup, though. So this is something that I'll go back and forth on a little bit, and I've had a lot of talks with some other great Jund players about this. Kitchen Finks, I'm so unexcited about it in the matchup because so frequently I feel like things come down to just a resolved Olivia Voldaren or a resolved Dark Confidant. And Kitchen Finks in the face of those cards is just not very good. And it almost makes me want to keep in a little bit of the discard. But generally I just don't end up doing that. So I'm going to run with this. It's just like this perennial unanswered question that I have. Can't keep this hand. Well, 1 land, no good. 2 land, Dark Confidant, snap keep. And I will just put that on top. Dark Confidant is literally what I think is the best card in the matchup. There are people who like don't play them, and I just don't know what they're thinking. Like they're just not even playing a Jund deck anymore. If you don't, if you don't have a, I was supposed to crack my thing. Oops. Well, I guess now that I'm here, I can just get a... Oh, I was definitely supposed to crack my fetch land. Don't really want to take the extra damage. I think I'm going to get a forest. I would much rather have a Stomping Ground, though. So that was a bit of a flub on my part. But if you don't have cards like Dark Confidant, you run into a situation where you can just one-for-one your opponent endlessly, and then as soon as you hit like a patch of lands, you just lose because you flooded out. So... Oh, yeah, there we go. So, using a Terminate on the Scavenging Ooze is a little annoying. So... using this Kolaghan's command is like much better. Obviously, I can't do it right now. I have to wait for my opponent to like crack his fetch land or something. And I knew he would. So... this is what we call a good old 2-for-1. Oh yeah. Get rocked. Can't say I blame my opponent for his play, obviously. There's usually not that many Kolaghan's commands in these decks. So if I could hit a land drop here and play Terminate and... oh, yeah, there we go. So I do not have another basic forest to get, and I need to get something that taps for black. So I think I want to get my Blood Crypt here. Not exactly sure why my opponent chose to do that at that time, but whatever. So, and I guess it's fine to just pass. I don't really care if he eats anything with his Scavenging Ooze, and maybe he just plays like an Olivia pre-combat, and I say, oh, definitely gonna... So now I do want to terminate that thing. I guess actually I should have just terminated it on my turn. Because he could have just attacked, and then I went to terminate. He could have done that play. And then I would not have a Dark Confidant in my graveyard, and he would have one extra life. So, let's see. This is a little bit of a question. I think that I just want to play my Olivia. I could play double Dark Confidant, but I would essentially be forced to double block something if he attacked with the creature land and the Scavenging Ooze. So this is, not really going to block either, but I won't be facing damage immediately. So I'm still going to need a little bit of help from the top of my deck, but let's see how this goes. And this is obviously a situation where I'd rather have like Pia and Kiran Nalaar or Huntmaster the Fels or Scavenging Ooze rather than Olivia. So Olivia's not actually that great in this kind of scenario. This would have been a great hand if I was on the play. On the draw, though, not so good. That's really good. And I forgot to crack my land again. So I can't actually do a whole lot here. It's going to be a rough one. Really need to draw a removal spell. My opponent has lands, I'll be okay, but my clock is pretty low. Knowing that I was going to chump block, I should have probably actually played a Dark Confidant rather than the Tarmogoyf. The fact my opponent can attack with 2 4-power creatures is obviously pretty bad. And I am likely to crack this fetch land, even though it puts me to 3. I'm likely to die to a lightning bolt, essentially no matter what. So now this is a little bit of a tough situation. I am basically forced to have my Olivia block his Raging Ravine and shoot it. That will trade with it because the Olivia will be a, well, I think I'm actually going to let the Raging Ravine live. No, I just can't. If I let the Raging Ravine live, there's just so little I can do about it. Like, Abrupt Decay doesn't hit it, my sorcery speed doesn't remove it. I basically have 1 Terminate that I'm drawing to that would actually answer this Raging Ravine. But it is going to be unfortunate that this Scavenging Ooze is just going to get huge. So, that's just the way it's going to be. And I'll probably just look at my draw step and then concede, because I've got so little time. I had some technical difficulties previously. Wow, another Raging Ravine? Jeez. And we'll just concede here. Alright, so we will just run it back. Some people like Fulminator in this mage, like instead of Kitchen Finks. And I think they're both pretty similar. I have a slight preference towards the Finks, though. Ooh, Snapkeep. Great hand. A removal spell and a Dark Confidant. It's like, what else do you need? Turn 2 Dark Confidant is also just the best Dark Confidant. So we're going to have to be fast, but this could be good for us. Man, we can even pull something for Kolaghan's command. So even if he plays a Tarmogoyf, actually if he plays a Tarmogoyf, we can just bolt it, which is great. We are set up really well. And if he doesn't have a removal spell for the Dark Confidant here, it's just so bad for him. Like, Dark Confidant is like the whole reason I play this deck. Wrong move. You're toast. Man, I even get to lightning bolt that thing. Oh, Liliana! My homegirl is in the house. Liliana is such gas. That's the way we do it. So now we're just 2-for-1ing him all over the place. Don't have a lot of pressure, but we are just so far ahead at this point. Would have liked to have had a a land drop, but if Dark Confidant will help out with the land drops, I hope. Touché. So I think that I'm just gonna start with having us each discard a card. And I'm going to discard, I think I'm actually just going to discard my Pia and Kiran Nalaar. And then I'll just play my other Dark Bob with Lightning Bolt up. So my opponent discarded a land, which is pretty annoying. Could have also just played Kolaghan's command and killed his Liliana and gotten my Dark Confidant back, but I'd rather just play another. So what I want to discard here is a little tricky, but I think it's just going to be the Terminate. The fact that my opponent's discarding lands and I'm discarding spells, though, is like a really big deal. I'm just going to take the opportunity to bolt that. Don't really have time to wait for a Scavenging Ooze. Ooh. Hope he doesn't have just like another land. Really annoying. And I don't actually want to tick up my Liliana at this point. Whatever he plays, I'll be able to kill. And these are both two great cards. Maelstrom Pulse is one of the few cards in my deck that can kill a top deck Olivia, which would be a problem. Obviously the Liliana has that covered, but either way. See, he's just been discarding lands over and over and over again. If you had, something really good, I feel like you would have cast already, so he may just have another land in play. Ooh, is this like a Thragtusk? Is the Thragfather here? That's decent. Kind of forgot about that. Well, all the more reason to not tick up there. So, and I can race back, which is probably going to be the preferred thing to do. Considering my removal spells do not hit his Raging Ravine. If he plays anything, I'll just kill it. He could just, like, race me back, though. Thank God I don't have, like, a Tassiger in my deck. Ooh, that's really good. So, don't really want to play Olivia right now. So I'll just bash his face in. If I can get another hit after this one with my Raging Ravine, this Kolaghan's command will be able to finish him off. So we might be at the finish line here, despite only having 3 minutes left. Beatdowns! And yeah, a lot of times I view the Jund deck as a control deck, especially when you're facing something like Affinity or Infect. But in these mid-range mirrors, you sort of switch roles depending on the game state and how the draws line up. Even though you're playing essentially the same cards, you you end up in a situation where do I have anything good in my graveyard? Just that Pia and Kiran Nalaar is pretty good. I'll do that. If I get Pia and Kiran, I feel like that'll be pretty good. Oh wait, hold on, stop. I should have made him discard during his draw step, but didn't have my stop set. Can do it now though. We needed Liliana. This would be a pretty big whack, but Pia's gonna be great on. Oh wow, we are top decking like a champ. Jeez. I love Jund Mirrors. I wish that I had a little bit more time on the clock so that I could spend more time talking about it, but I would literally just play Jund Mirrors until the end of time if I could. This is my favorite kind of magic. It's just like good, fair, fun magic where roles can change, games can be about life totals or about card advantage depending on how the way things play out. You have to manage a lot of different kinds of resources. It's just like really deep and sweet. So this is a 5/5 right now. So I can make mine bigger. Attack. And yeah, it's just dead. Sick!